Welcome to BG Insights by the Belfort Group, a videocast series where our industry experts share real-world examples of how to combat disruption in your business.
Good day, everyone. This is Brittany. I'm a director here at the Belfort Group, and today I'm joined with our Senior Vice President, Leah Gallagher, to talk about female careers and how BG is working with the current environment and how we can be a more female future workforce. Leah, thank you so much for being with me.
Hi, Britt. Thanks so much for having me. As you said, my name is Leah Gallagher. I'm a senior vice president at the agency. I've been here just shy of 7 years. And in my time here, I started out as an account supervisor and have grown with the agency quite a bit through a rebrand and a name change and ownership change. When I started with the agency, I was much more heavily on kind of the PR side. And now I run our education practice and anything really that falls under our digital practice. I work closely with a lot of members of the team to achieve that, but really I oversee anything that kind of falls under that realm.
So, throughout your career, I know definitely throughout my career, we've seen a pivot towards female empowerment in the workforce, seeing more of our colleagues being female, working together, achieving amazing goals to better our jobs and our community. I just wanted to see through your career where you thought you saw a great impact of female leadership and different things that you think are special when it comes to having female leaders in the workforce.
So I've been lucky enough in my career, from the very start of my career, to have really great female mentors. I've had some great male mentors too, but really wonderful women who I've had the opportunity to work for or with, and even some women who have worked for me, which is kind of an interesting concept. But I think one sort of standout person for me is in my time at State Street. I had a woman there who was a member of the senior management team, and she was absolutely incredible in helping me really, develop as an employee there, but also start to think more forwardly about my career and where I wanted to go. And, at that time I was really young and I, had a lot of ideas about what I wanted to do. And, aside from kind of all that she did in terms of grooming me in that position, she really helped me to step outside of myself and see a path forward for, how I develop my own career. And I really shouldn't put this in the past tense because to this day, she's a great mentor to me and has helped me, even in my current position to navigate my path forward. So, I think I can't place enough importance on personal relationships. And I think that she's someone who is an example of how I hope to be to the women in our office and women I've worked with in the past, and then in terms of kind of colleagues, I feel like I learned so much from other women who are my peers and women who have worked for me. I think we're in an interesting industry in that marketing, you almost have more knowledge when you're coming out of school now than someone in, my position who's been in the industry for a while, because marketing is an area that changes so much every year. So I actually find, not just women, men too, who are coming out of school have so much to teach me. And I think, part of being a female senior leader is really understanding that, you need to pull from people at all levels, and you really need to, embrace kind of new attitudes and new perspectives coming into the workforce. Because while I have a lot to teach them, they have a lot to teach me too.
No, it's definitely true. At even 27 now, I realize I'm slowly getting behind the ball when it comes to social media trends or things that like younger siblings or younger kids are doing for fun. But I loved your statement about your female mentor being a mentor, not just in your workplace at that current time, but flashing forward into your new career. In your sense, like how would I be a better mentor? What do you believe makes a great mentor for young women, young girls?
Yeah, I think for me, it's contextualizing your relationship with someone. So, it's looking at, again, not just how you can help them and what they're doing right now, but really understanding them as a person and understanding what their ultimate objectives are. I think another thing is, it sounds silly, but not being threatened by other women coming into the workplace. I think as sad as it is, there's still a lot of that where, women don't help women as much as they can because they felt like they've really had to fight to get to where they've gotten to. And I think, that's a really archaic attitude. And I think, unfortunately, it can still be prevalent in a lot of workplaces. We're fortunate that we don't have that. I've found that every woman that I've worked with at BG and really, the people who are coming in are excited to collaborate. And I think that's really important. But I think that's something, kind of leaving your ego at the door a little bit and realizing that, as someone comes in, they're not you. So it's not just, I think we used to have this kind of idea of mentorship that was like, hey, I'm going to groom you to be the next me, right? Like I would hear that all the time in my early career, like, oh, I'm going to groom you, or even just coming into a new position. Oh, Leah's the new so-and-so, right? Because they're replacing that person. And I think the idea is that we're all unique. We all have a lot to contribute and add. And so if you can kind of take yourself out of it and really focus not on how can I help that person learn what I learned, but what does that person need to learn to get to where they want to be? That's a really great way to approach mentoring other women.
No, I like that, especially the thought process. I feel in early careers, you don't want to step on toes. You don't want someone to feel as if you're trying to take their place, but you also, very similar to a little toddler, want to follow them around and learn everything that they're doing because you see success and you get to see someone like yourself that has spanned multiple different types of careers, but lands every single time on a very successful career. And that's not the tactical skills, but the more personality, the ability to be pivoting in a moment and understand the skill set that you have and how it transitions. And seeing individuals in different career paths be able to pivot quickly, I think is very exciting in like female focused career fields because you see a lot of individuals I looked up to as a kid in the workforce that were female were my neighbors that were nurses, or my mom that was a speech pathologist, or a teacher type atmosphere. And you didn't see more of the career focused woman. I never had that type of experience. So once I entered into the workforce, had ability to be mentored by women, it was nice to see that there are more options and I don't need to be exactly like that person, but they could teach me a lot on where I want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's interesting when you say that because, for me, I've had for my entire life, I feel really strong female mentorship, starting from within my own family. My mom, my grandmother, even my great grandmother were and are exceptional women. And of course I say that with a level of bias, but I think, it's been validated by others. I think I've got a really strong, mentorship within my family to look to. And, with my own mother, she's someone who she balanced things really well. She did kind of, I never felt lacking in our home life. And when I grew up, not as many women, worked who had children, right? It was like you kind of were picking a path at that point. Thankfully, we don't have to do that as much anymore. But I think, when I was young, my mom worked, but she also, was fantastic, in raising us. But she was she still is in education. She's back to teaching now. She teach for Boston Public Schools. But she went in as a teacher. She changed a lot of lives. She went through and became an administrator. She became the chairperson for bilingual education in Lynn. She's just unbelievable. And she's had a really successful career. At one point, she pivoted and went and worked for a hedge fund. She's just like an unbelievable person and an unbelievable mentor. But what I found to be, really helpful in the way that she's kind of raised me is it never occurred to me that there was a thing I couldn't do. Right. Like she had that attitude of you can be whatever you want to be. And, it sounds really cliche and silly, but growing up, my parents got married really young. My mom went to BC. She took off a semester to have my brother and a semester to have my sister. So she got married her sophomore year of college and then continued to not only do her undergraduate degree, magna cum laude, but also went on to get her master's. Like I remember my mom graduating from her master's degree. And I can tell you now, having two young kids, doing that and working with three young children is absolutely unbelievable and incredible. And so, I think when I look back at the people that I had in my life at that time, it started me from a really young age of believing in myself. And I think that's really important. We have, I think come so far as women because we've started to see ourselves in the workplace more. You described earlier your kind of experience with having, gotten to the workplace and seeing like all these women doing the sort of things that you want to do and you're able to emulate that. And I think it's really important, whatever it be, that we show women the path forward more, and from a very young age. I saw something at a Biz Now event and I think it was the governor of Rhode Island talking about, getting kids into coding in like first grade, right? And like things like that are so critically important. We work a lot with, great clients, and MIT is one that comes to mind. And they're so focused on how to, increase the presence of women in their programs. And it's not just for show, it's because they realize that if you can't see yourself in a role, if you don't see other people like yourself in a role, it's much harder to overcome that kind of stereotype or stigma that that's not for that person. So for women, I think the more we see empowered women in the workplace, the more we become that, right? And the more we're able to help nurture and grow younger women and show them that same path forward.
No, that's really interesting. I love the thought process of bringing it back to being a first grader, or when you're going to school, you're saying, what do I want to be when I grow up? And you see what your world is around you and try to make a decision quickly when your first grade class, or when you come home during Christmas with your family, like making that funny joke about what do you want to be when you grow up? And there are so many different things that we can do to inspire young girls of what they want to do when they grow up. It might not be what they ultimately become. However, it can give them inspiration like your mom did, that they can be anything they want. So, in the workforce, we're looking at more females entering the workforce. I know BG's team has an amazing leadership team with females at high power and making great decisions. I was just wondering, what's your view on like a more female forward workforce, and how can we foster relationships between the women working together at the office and then career women over a different spectrum of different workplaces?
I'm really grateful to be in an organization like BG, because I think, there are a lot of reasons that we foster a great environment for women. This first one that I'll mention is our executive team. So, I'm really proud to be a female member of our executive team, but I'm also really grateful for the mentorship and the kind of partnership that I've received from Phil and Dawn. They have helped guide me in my career quite a bit. And they've really secured a place for me here that, I feel really confident in. But they've also empowered me to help other women in the workforce, right? They've also given me the opportunity to show other women, kind of where they can be, or help them find where they want to be. And I think, they both are very conscious of and supportive of my full life, right? Not just the position I hold within the company, but the fact that I am a mother of two young children. They've really, helped me to kind of find a way to balance the two so that I can be really successful in both. And that can be really difficult and challenging, right? I just came back from maternity leave, and, I added a second kid into the mix, and, it once again made me kind of reshuffle the decks of how I approach everything. And they have a really progressive and forward thinking model of how the workplace is. And that helps, I think, women in my position to make sure they continue to maintain the success that they found. They also, I think, are super supportive. That's not to say, I have children. There are a lot of younger women here who don't have children. And they're also conscious and cognizant of how do we support those women in their life and their goals. And I think they look at the full picture. And that's really important in the workforce, is to understand that, I feel like it's the idea of empowering women is, it can't be narrow, right? Because we all have different paths. We all have different trajectories that we want to follow. And so whether it be that your goal is to be a working mother or never have children, or, whether your goal is to kind of take on a more mentoring role of other women, or, you're someone who loves kind of the numbers and you want to work in a singular area of finance, right? Like, I think that they really understand that, it's a dynamic process. It's not, it's not something where like, it's like, oh, here's how we're empowering all women. It's they take each individual within their organization and they really make sure to provide the right level of mentorship for them so that they can find their own path.
Thank you so much for your time. It's amazing to hear wonderful stories and your experience through your career of how mentorship has helped you, and how you have views on how we can mentor other young women. And I really appreciate having you as a senior vice president of the team. It's been a great 4 months to get to know everyone. And for the 40 minutes we've had here today, it's actually wonderful to learn more about you. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to working with you more.